Hey guys, it's me, James. I am here to share with you my thoughts and opinions on what we read this past week, which was chapters 37 and 38 of Exodus. Yeah. But before I do that, before I get into all my thoughts on why I think God wrote this passage, I wanted just to kind of share an update with you on as to what I've been doing this past summer and what I'm currently doing now. This past summer I've been working at an internship in Bloomington, Indiana for a company called Cornerstone, doing a bunch of IT systems related work, which has been a lot of fun and really enjoyable. Yeah, I can't go into too much detail because then you guys would probably just get confused. I would probably get confused, but yeah. Currently, or at least for the past 2 weeks, I've been staying with Jordan Childress's parents at their home here in Bloomington due to the fact that my apartment lease ended at the end of July, and I've had no place to live for the last 2 weeks of my internship but here. So you guys get the blessing of having me film this from Jordan Childress's bedroom as a child, so it's pretty great. All the walls are white and red, and there's stuff all over, so if you get bored of me talking, if you get completely lost in what I'm trying to say, just look at the walls and find something cool. There's a bunch of news articles back there, so I don't know. You can read them. But getting into the text here, when I read this past week, and I thought that I had to make a video on this, I was like, I have no idea what to talk about, or no idea what themes to pull out of this. My Bible itself even doesn't have any comments on these 2 chapters. It's just blank. It has comments on every other chapter except these 2. So it was fun to ponder this and to think why God wrote this. The chapter itself is describing just the making of a bunch of different items, a bunch of different objects. The Ark of the Covenant, a table, a lampstand, a court, tabernacle as well. And yeah, and it goes into such great detail as to describe what these items looked like, what they were made out of, the exact size, how many cubits they were. It goes into such great detail that you gotta ask yourself, why is this necessary, or what's the point of all this detail the guy put in here? Why didn't he just cut this all down to half a chapter and say that, oh, they made a table, and then they made a lampstand and stuff like that? Why did he have to go into such great detail to describe everything to a T? And that was something that I pondered a lot this past week, and eventually was able to maybe come up with a reason as to why I think God included it. It's probably many reasons, but this is one that I pulled out, or that I think might be a reason why. I could be completely wrong, so there's always that. But one of the reasons I think God put all this detail in here essentially was for us future Christians, not Christians at the time or Israelites at the time, but for us now, so that we can have reassurance in our faith and put away any doubts in our faith that we currently have through what is described here. And you may be asking, well, how does this help us put away any doubts? And that is a logical question to ask. But the reason I think about that is because one of my favorite things to research and to study is biblical archaeology, or artifacts described in the Bible that archaeologists have discovered and dug up, and were able to prove and identify or justify that the Bible is correct in its claims through these discoveries. I think one of my favorite one is the boat. It's a really cool story. It was the boat that Jesus and his disciples were on when it was a really big storm. They were at sea, and Jesus calmed the storms and made all his disciples happy and at peace. One of the biggest complaints with that was that there wasn't a boat big enough back then to house all those people, to house 13 people at a time. And for the biggest moment, for the biggest time, it was a huge loophole in God's word that people thought this makes it unreliable. How do we know that this is true? They didn't have that kind of technology back then. But without going into too much detail on kind of that story, which is a really cool story, and I can explain to you more in detail if you want. Just ask me. They found a boat that could hold 15 people all at one time through archaeological just discoveries. I don't know how archaeologists discover things just randomly, but they do. And it's kind of it's one of the coolest things to know that God's word can be backed by things that we find today. And I think that one of the reasons, going back to the passage, that one of the reasons God goes into so much detail is so that when we are searching for these items today, we can know for certain that the items we find are the items described in the Bible. That we can take the exact measurements, the exact materials, just whatever scientific processes are used to determine what a material is, and to determine that this is the object described in the Bible. And I did research for the items described here in chapters 37 and 38, and I couldn't find anything as far as discoveries of these things. I actually found one thing. I found a really interesting story on the Ark of the Covenant about a guy who claimed to find it named Ron Wyatt, but a lot of archaeologists hate him for different claims, so something to look up. I find it very interesting, but I can't say for certain that I believe that he found it. But yeah, and everything else I couldn't find anything on. But that doesn't mean that it's not there and that it doesn't exist. That means it has yet to be found and yet to strengthen our faith in God even more. So that's kind of what I pulled out of it, and kind of what I think might be one of the many reasons that God went into so much detail here. Yeah. So that's all I have to say regarding the text and that stuff. I will say that we have 1 week left of summer, I guess, before we go back to campus and we get to take part in the ministry and take part in doing God's ministry and all the opportunities that we have to preach His word, to show His love to others. It's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be great, and I want you guys to get excited about that, or as excited as I am about that. And yeah, I can't wait to see you guys. I'll see you all in a week, and it's going to be a good year. So, yeah.